Hello there. I've ranked a few times in the past, and I enjoy writing scripts for it. But I've never covered a movie franchise, and Star Wars I have the most thoughts on. So enjoy. At number 11 is Star Wars, Episode 9, Rise of Skywalker. A lot of people say Episode 8 is the worst, but the thing is, Episode 8 isn't as important to the finale to 9 movies. It was still important, but there's less scenes that make no sense. AKA, the 9th movie has a lot of scenes that make no sense. First off, this movie feels 4 hours long, but is 100 minutes less, meaning that the story feels very rushed going from place to place. They ruin the idea of Rey being a nobody because everybody has to be related. You cannot make a Star Wars movie without a few characters being related to the original characters. Finn was saved by Rose in the last movie, which didn't matter as he doesn't do anything in this movie other than say a cliffhanger to Rey, where he wants to say something before they all die, but then they don't, so it's never brought up again. This probably alludes to Finn saying, "I love you" to Rey, but Disney hates multiracial relationships. Palpatine comes back for no reason other than to tarnish Darth Vader's sacrifice in the 6th movie. When the Resistance finds out, Poe says, "Somehow, Palpatine returned," which implies that they don't know cloning exists, which means they don't know the mass genocide of all Jedi and Padawans less than 100 years ago. That's like not knowing the Titanic if it was 4 times worse. Evil Rey is only in this movie for people to watch it. She does not matter at all. You know the Hishy Villain Pub Star Wars video right before Palpatine returned? And as a joke, Zod is playing with Rey and Kylo Ren dolls saying, "This is our galaxy now for toots." And then they kiss. Which pretty much happened. This movie is kind of a waste of time. A lot of characters do nothing or have little character. Throughout the movie, the plot is built with the subverting expectations thing from the last movie. Like Chewbacca dies. Nah, he was on another ship. C-3PO loses his memory. Then it's brought back Kylo Ren dies. Nah, Rey uses her healing powers on him. Also, General Armitage turns out to be a hero the whole time. That makes sense. It's not like he aided in the destruction of a solar system 2 movies ago. How does Rey walk to the exact spot to use some ancient knife to find a specific location on the Death Star created hundreds of years ago before its existence that was completely destroyed? The ending also sucks where Rey says she's a Skywalker when she isn't at all. She barely knows Luke or Leia, and isn't related to them either. This movie sets up a bunch of stuff, but never delivers on any of it. The worst Star Wars movie, in my opinion. This is probably the longest segment in this entire video, because I have a lot of thoughts on this movie, plus it was the most recent one I've seen. At number 10 is everyone's favorite, Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. So the director was switched for the middle of the trilogy being the man who directed Justice League, which isn't very good and completely threw away the entire script of the original Star Wars Episode 8. It kind of makes sense that Luke is a hermit as he's been on an island for 20 years, but we didn't need to see Luke Skywalker drink green milk from an alien's udders. There's a scene in the beginning of Rose's sister dropping bombs onto a spaceship in space, and they hit. Poe makes a "your mom" joke to General Armitage, the main villain of the first movie. Leia flies in space using force powers or something that people compare to Mary Poppins. I think because she's flying for no reason. Some resistance leader decides to lightspeed into a large ship, which is a cool idea that I was thinking of back in episode 4, but completely ruins any big space stations in the future, as anyone can just kill themselves or just set the ship on autopilot, saving many. Why didn't anyone destroy Exegol? Did they all forget? Why does everyone forget big events? Kylo Ren kills Snoke, becoming the main villain, which isn't true according to the next movie. A big battle begins where Rey and Kylo wipe the floor with 8 real guards in less than 30 seconds, revealing Rey is a nobody who just learned the Force and lightsaber dueling in a matter of days. There's a random subplot where Finn and Rose go on a big adventure to an evil casino planet. Then the final battle begins where Finn almost sacrifices himself, but Rose stops him for no reason. Then Luke Skywalker saves the day, but turns out he's a Force projection, but dies anyway. So what is the point of him being a projection? This movie sucks. End of story. Now for a significant leap in quality is the next at number 9, Star Wars Episode 2, The Attack of the Clones. The fact that the movie takes place 10 years later is a cool idea. Princess Amidala, who looked like an adult when Anakin was 8 by the way, gets attacked by an assassin while she's sleeping, and the assassin shoots 2 small, slow parasite worms instead of a laser. Then when the Jedi catch her, it turns out she was paid by Jango Fett. Why didn't Jango Fett do it then? He probably wouldn't have been as stupid. Anakin finds out his parents were murdered by Tusken Raiders and gets mad and destroys the entire village, showing his true rage. For 10 seconds, and it cuts to a next scene. The "I don't like sand" quote is said by Anakin, which has stupid delivery and is a stupid sentence. He tells the princess he slaughtered thousands of men, women, and children, who many were completely innocent, and she doesn't leave immediately afterward. The end of this movie takes place in a colorful Coliseum, where it looks like a PS2 game sometimes. Jango Fett being the clones who eventually become stormtroopers, and his death leading to his son Boba Fett to take his place is a pretty cool idea. The sword fights were good in this movie too. At number 8 is Solo, a Star Wars story. This movie is just a bit uninteresting. The rest of the movies aren't that bad, just mostly mid. Solo isn't that good of a movie. At one point, Han Solo, he gets captured and thrown into a pit where he meets Chewbacca, who was going to eat him as Chewbacca was originally an Imperial executioner, but Solo is able to talk him down somehow, and they work together, obviously, for the next 60 years. There's this droid in the middle of the movie who rebels against droids, only being used for small helping and being treated poorly. She dies, but is able to be brought back in Millennium Falcon's database and helps the main characters once. But this is somewhat of a plot of a horror movie. Imagine being a rebel about being treated fairly, and then becoming an unmoving cog for the rest of eternity until everything suddenly stops. If you're wondering, it can't be brought back because it's part of the system now. I had to look that up. I didn't remember everything about this movie. The final battle is against some dude that doesn't really matter, and I forgot everything about him. And then Darth Maul is teased to return. Although he died at the end of Clone Wars, everyone who watched that show knew he survived, so he'd pop up like Darth Vader in releases after Star Wars 6, just to scare and kill people, and that's it. And they show how Han Solo got his jacket. Best part of the film. There was also some cool action scenes throughout, and the visuals are pretty good. A mid-movie overall, though. And at number 7 is Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. This movie isn't that bad, but it's just a little longer than it should be, and Jar Jar Binks just sucks as a character. C-3PO? Nah, we need another silly character for kids. Let's make a really annoying alien that speaks like Yoda, but is way less cool. I didn't really mind him though, as the writers knew when to shut him up when serious stuff was happening. The action wasn't bad, the story is cool in concept, but pretty bloated in execution. Darth Maul is a cool villain, and the only Sith to use a double-bladed sword in the movies. Anakin Skywalker isn't really needed in this movie. He's pretty much only there to be used in the second and third one. Not a bad movie, pretty good for the most part. Also, if you don't know, C-3PO is the only character to appear in all of these movies. Being a robot comic relief makes you required to be written down in the Star Wars movies. And at number 6 is Rogue One, a Star Wars story. A good spin-off to the Star Wars franchise that makes sense in the lore as a team got the Death Star plans but unfortunately died saving the galaxy. That is somewhat mentioned in the first Star Wars movie. The Empire seems like more of a threat than usual in this movie. There's a good amount of serious points. It's surprisingly dark for a space fantasy PG-13 franchise with many character deaths. A few at the start and many at the end. AI General Tarkin is kinda noticeable as he's in the movie for 2 seconds, and the camera lens is much older for the originals, so it's kinda hard to tell that they don't look the same. The final scene is the best, where Darth Vader is shown killing plenty of rebel soldiers with ease in less than a minute. The lighting is cool, I like how the dark fog contrasts with the glow of his lightsaber, and this was the last time Darth Vader showing up was cool. At number 5 is Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. A very good movie because it's really similar to the original Star Wars. It's about an orphan on a desert planet who gets a call to adventure, eventually stopping a giant space station that can destroy planets barely with the help of an old man, a skilled pilot, C-3PO, and a tiny beeping robot going against the Empire with stormtroopers, a cold general, a masked enemy who dies in the last movie, and an angry, edgy guy with force powers who kills the old man halfway through. I liked Finn. He was an interesting character, being a stormtrooper who becomes a traitor to the Empire. The ending was well done, giving implications to what the next movie will entail that they kinda messed up. Starkiller Base was a really cool weapon, being a bigger and stronger Death Star, but it's defeated the lame way of the second Death Star in the last Star Wars movie. I guess a good movie, but some of that is attributed to it being a copy of the first. And at number 4 is Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. This is, in most people's opinions, the weakest of the originals. This movie doesn't do that much wrong, except killing off Boba Fett in the first 20 minutes. It's mainly because the first two are really good films. Jabba the Hutt is a cool character, although he doesn't do much, and this is his only appearance. Technically, you could say he appeared in the 4th episode, but that was only edited in. A lot of people hate the Ewoks. I kinda agree, but I don't really mind annoying characters, as their screen time is usually short. Bringing back the Death Star is kinda stupid. It's only there to raise the stakes, I guess, but it does nothing in the whole movie other than explode. They could have just had the finale take place on a regular-sized space station, because this way it just seems dumb. Luke goes to see Yoda again, who dies. Obi-Wan's Force Ghost tells Luke that he didn't really tell him that Darth Vader is his father, as he wasn't anymore, not emotionally. Which is really dumb, as Darth Vader is biologically his father. And Darth Vader turns into a good guy at the end. And since Obi-Wan is a Force Ghost, knowing more than Darth Vader could possibly imagine, and Darth Vader is, extremely knowing, so he doesn't know what's going to happen in a few hours from now. Luke and Darth Vader have a final fight, where Darth Vader reveals that Leia is Luke's sister. I don't really get why Obi-Wan doesn't mention this. Wasn't he at their birth? Obi-Wan is kinda stupid when it comes to revealing information in this movies. Luke cuts off Darth Vader's hand. The Emperor goes to kill him, but Darth Vader saves his son's life by killing Palpatine for the next 2 movies, and dies when they are escaping the exploding Death Star. A good ending for the trilogy and ends Vader's story, except they use him in everything nowadays. He's in Rogue One, the prequels, Ahsoka, 113 Star Wars comics, over 20 Star Wars video games. They won't let this man die. A very good finale, though. Oh, and did I mention Star Wars Rebels? And the Obi-Wan show. A very good finale otherwise, though. And at number 3 is Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Fitting, as it's Episode 3, and it's ranked number 3. This is the best prequel movie. The movie has great fight scenes, good setting up for the original trilogy, and Anakin does a great job turning from a hero to a villain. The final fight between Anakin and Obi-Wan is one of the greatest duels in all of Star Wars, as it's fast-paced, on a lava planet, and it's time for it to feel like a big fight. No wonder this movie got a re-release recently. If you ever decide to watch the prequels, this is the main reason why. And at number 2 is Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. This movie is very good, although I thought the first act was a bit boring, except for Darth Vader's introduction and Obi-Wan's. Not much happens, although after the first act, the movie gets good. Han Solo is a well-written character, having some funny lines, generally as Chewbacca or Leia. Luke's character changes throughout the movie, in the second and third one from an orphan who wants to do more in life into an experienced Jedi. Darth Vader is a menacing presence who kills Luke's mentor only a feet away from him. This is a very good introduction into its sci-fi world. The finale to the movie, where Luke, along with the Rebellion, have to destroy the Death Star before they destroy the Rebellion's base. The scene is a bit longer than it needs to be, but a really cool scene visually and matters to Luke's character change. And at number 1, you could probably guess if you know these movies very well, is Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. This is the best Star Wars movie. Not just in my opinion, but almost the whole internet. Han Solo changed a lot from the original as he saves Luke's life after he almost died by a Yeti in a snowstorm. They go to a sky city as Han Solo needs a repair and wants to meet his old friend Lando. Turns out the planet was infiltrated by the Empire, and Lando is actually a traitor, which isn't super obvious. Later on, he helps the group as he was forced to betray Han Solo. This also introduces Boba Fett, which looks pretty cool, but he doesn't talk throughout the whole movie and doesn't do much. Luke wants to save his friends, but heard Obi-Wan telling him to go to a forest planet to be trained. There he meets Yoda, who doesn't look that bad in this movie. Luke goes to stop Darth Vader, but that was his plan, where they have a big fight, ending with Luke getting his hand chopped off and Darth Vader revealing, "Luke, I am your father," which is an iconic line for a big movie twist. Darth Vader asks for Luke to help him rule the galaxy. Luke's character change is pretty much done as he decides to fall off the giant ship basement instead of joining the dark side. Han Solo gets captured in a stone machine. Somehow the rest of the group uses their ship and rescues Luke, who they somehow know the location of. I guess Leia saw a force vision of Obi-Wan's ghost. They go off into the galaxy, unsure of what to do next. This is the first bad ending in a kids' movie history. I believe Han Solo gets captured in a stone machine. Somehow, the rest of the group uses their ship and rescues Luke, who they somehow know the location of. I guess Leia saw a force vision or Obi-Wan's ghost. They go off into the galaxy, unsure of what to do next. This is the first bad ending in kids' movie history, I believe. Han Solo getting trapped in stone is a pretty scary visual, and even after being saved next movie, they can't really see for some time, so it isn't like taking a nap. And that's all the movies. Let's dig on the Star Wars Holiday Special, but not only do I not care enough to watch it, but it also, I'm pretty sure, is inconsequential, as I've never seen it and I completely understand the story. It's probably between episode 9 and 8 as the worst. Star Wars started out good. George Lucas wanted to make prequels, which were okay, and then Disney bought the company, and the writing went off the wall into a dumpster. This is probably my biggest video in a bit. I hope you enjoyed, and see ya. If you enjoyed this video by any chance, just movie ranking, I know a lot of movie franchises that I'd be pretty cool with ranking. For example, the Terminator franchise, the Saw franchise, the MCU, maybe even the DCU, because I've seen a lot, DCEU, because I've seen a lot of their movies, and that's it. Oh, and I guess the Lord of the Rings movies. I've seen them. It's not going to be the longest list, but I have different opinions from other people, probably. Anyway, see ya.